Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday to you. It's that time. It's that time once again. This is the time that you've all been waiting for. We got a great show for you tonight. We got David Randolph coming in, talking about some foreclosure, talking about some rehab, talking about real estate, the stuff you like, the stuff that makes you great. If you're joining in live on the channel right now on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. If you're watching live in the Woke Real Estate Investors Group, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up as well. And we're also streaming in 2 more places. So I'm streaming in 5 places simultaneously for the first time, trying it out. And we're on YouTube, Facebook, Facebook page, Facebook group, and on Instagram, the IG. So put in your name and where you're coming from, and we'll give you a shout out before we get started with the show. I see we got Daniel up in here and some more people. We're about to get this thing started, and it's just that time.
And we have and we have and we have Mr. I Stay Woke, and Mr. I Stay
Woke. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? This is the student master teacher, Mr. I Stay Woke, Chris Monroe, and I'm right back at you with another real estate video. Tonight we got a good treat for you. We're going to do some good learning, good studying from another one of the heavy hitters in the game. That's one of the most important things you should do. Try to surround yourself with quality people so you can become a quality good person as well. We got David Randolph about to join us in a second here. What's up, Daniel? I see you. Good in every state. Wholesale and VA. I see you. I see you. We got your questions and answers coming up at the end of the show. Make sure you tune in, give it a like, give it a share it to somebody who cares. I see you. They say there's no sound. There should be sound. I hope there's sound. Whoa. Hopefully you can hear me. You can hear me, right? Give me a thumbs up on here if you all can hear me. They say no sound. I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully not. So you in Tennessee tonight? All right, Daniel, I see you. And I see who else we got here. I see you in Omaha. So without further ado, I want to bring in one of the people that's here in St. Louis, crushing it, doing real estate on a bigger level than most, Mr. David Randolph. Hello, David. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing good.
Great, great. Glad to have you in. Glad to have you joining us on the show. For people who may not know who you are, can you give a little bird's eye view or a little 30-second synopsis of who you are and what do you do?
Sure, 30-second synopsis. That sounds like your elevator speech you should use when you go to the meetup groups and meet people. So I'll see if I can kind of say that, pretend like I'm in a group of 5 or 10 people and we're exchanging business cards. But basically, my name's David Randolph. I rehab about 5 to 10 houses a year. All of my houses have sold in 7 days or less at list price or higher for 8 years. And actually in 2016, 17, and 18, they all sold in 2 days or less. So they're drop dead gorgeous.
Wow.
So I make $50,000 to $150,000 profit on $250,000 houses. And I do this by negotiating short sales. So I buy my houses by negotiating with the bank and the homeowner. These are not short sales listed on the MLS with a realtor. These are short sales that I'm working with the homeowner and then negotiating with the bank to give me the house at a very, very low price so that I can fix it up and sell it at a very, very high price. So that's my quick little intro to it. Now, I do the rehabbing. Something else that I do because I've made so much money at this, okay, is that in my IRA, I've got over $2 million from real estate that I lend to other rehabbers. And so what's kind of special about my hard money lending program, and I would call it even beyond hard money lending, is that I lend you all the money to buy the house, all the money to fix the house up, all the money for the points on the loan, and all the money for the monthly interest payments. So if you have nothing in your checking account financially, you're ready to rehab. And the reason I do that is because so many rehabbers and newbies are kind of disenfranchised from the system because most hard money lenders want you they'll lend you the 100 grand to buy it, but you got to use your own 50 grand to fix it up. Well, I'm kind of like, who's crazy enough to risk their only 50 grand? Something goes wrong, you're going to get back 40 grand. So I really want people to get started in this rehabbing houses and being successful like me. So I'll lend you all the money. That's kind of the quick distro there. Sorry about that. Quite a bit, in there that I've done. So trying to squeeze it into.
Yeah, there's no real time limit. I was just messing around. So you can take as long as you like to explain whatever you need to explain, David. Just want to put some pressure on you. Nah.
Oh, I'll tell you,
No.
my feet are shaking right now. Just like a regular investor kind of person, and so I'm not a movie star, as you can certainly tell on it. But I'm glad to be here and honored to be asked by Mr. Chris Monroe to be on his show. This is quite an entertaining, a scary event for me, Chris.
Well, that's good. That's what we all got to do. Step outside of that comfort zone, because that's where all the success is, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So basically, so you're saying you were doing buying properties at short sale, negotiating with the banks, and getting so many deals, piling up so much money, you had to go into loaning your money out to help other investors. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, I'm only 55, so I can't use the money in my IRA for me, but I can lend it to other people.
So it can just keep growing and growing and growing. Tax-free, right?
Yes. Yeah, it can be tax-free. I have actually 3 different retirement accounts. One's called a traditional IRA. So that grows tax deferred until I pull the money out. Then I have a Roth IRA, which is probably the only thing that Congress ever did right for us, is they gave us a Roth IRA that is growing tax-free forever and ever. I actually wholesaled a house in my Roth IRA for $100,000 profit, wholesaled it in my Roth. That's tax-free forever. Then I have a solo 401k. That's what the really smart people do, is they use a solo 401k. That could be a whole discussion there on why you use a solo 401k.
So that's the one where you set up basically, and you have a business entity and you do a 401k on yourself or something like that. Is that what that is?
Absolutely, yeah. So most rehabbers, they set up an LLC. Most entrepreneurs, most real estate investors, they want to set up an LLC, either an LLC as a rental, which one kind that you would do. Well, the other kind that you do is non-rentals, your rehab, your wholesaling, your flipping and stuff. That's in a different LLC. So that LLC is usually just you. And if you can limit it to no employees that work more than 20 hours, then it's very simple for, $1,000 to set up a solo 401k that you're actually required to be the trustee, and you're required to put it in your checking account. How is that for beautiful?
Yeah, well, that's the rules. We just play the game, right?
Exactly.
So how long have you been dealing in real estate?
I started in 2010, started getting some education and training at some of these 3-day seminars, fell in love with real estate, fell in love with it for the wrong reason, though. Strangely enough, as much as I know today, back then in 2000, I thought that I could buy a house, a rental house, and write that off as an expense. At the time I could appreciate rental houses, I fell in love with real estate at that point in time. And so that's when I decided to go all in full time and, be an entrepreneur, to be a real estate investor. And so then I basically learned how to rehab. I learned how to buy houses, and a lot of series of education, steps that I took. Education is key to moving along the path of being successful.
So what were you doing before that? Were you just working regular 9-to-5 jobs, or what kind of career were you on before you got into real estate?
Well, as you may tell later on in the conversation, unfortunately, I am an engineer. Okay, so I was an engineer, and so I'm very detail oriented, and I like to write procedures and checklists. And so everything I've done in short sales, I've basically documented, written down in checklists and procedures on how to do them, because of my background as an engineer. I actually retired at age 42 to homeschool my kids. So I wasn't rich, but I was debt free. You know, that's the key, is to be debt free. So at age 42, I was able to retire from my job in engineering, and then started doing consulting for my old company that I didn't want to do. And I was making a lot of money that I didn't want to pay taxes on. That's why I basically thought that, you know, I could buy a rental house and write all that off, but it turns out you have to depreciate it. So I was an engineer for many, many years.
Wow. So converting over into real estate and becoming an entrepreneur, did you find yourself overthinking things as you try to learn the processes and things like that?
Absolutely. I spent the entire first year, spent at least $20,000 on education and training and materials from, you know, you call them maybe national gurus or whatever, you know, certain people. So I learned from Miller, Heyer, Dykes Boddiford, you know, and certain other, you know, teachers and trainers. And I bought $20,000 worth of material. And my wife and I were going to these boot camps for the entire first year, going, honey, we got to stay back in St. Louis and do a deal. Okay.
So you spending all this money, can we get a check in?
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, we're learning a lot, but we actually have to now implement it. So yeah, we you know, we started learning and getting education and training, and then stayed home and started applying it. So what we did was we said, look, you know, there's a couple things we need to do. If we can learn how to rehab houses, okay? So I learned some education and training from Robin Thompson out there. And so I'm not necessarily condoning or saying anything bad against any of the people that I say, or names that I say. These are just people that I used at one point in time. And then I used their material and I, you know, developed it, you know, made it work for me, adjusted it, you know, tweaked it for my, you know, situation, my location, my city, and then made it into a better system that worked for me on it. And so if you knew how to rehab a house, my thought was then you can stop it at anything in between. If you can rehab, then you can keep it for rental, you can wholesale it. So these are all tools that you would need to know in order to, you know, do real estate from, you know, A to Z. The other one was, okay, how do we purchase homes? Now you need some way to buy houses. And so there are lots of ways, subject to owner financing, free and clear, many different ways to buy houses, buying from wholesalers. Well, at the time in 2010, you know, there was a financial crisis and a lot of people were in foreclosure. So we thought, hey, look, let's see if we can help families out. You know, I don't really want to say that it was a ministry, but basically it kind of was. It was a way to help families in crisis be able to get out of the debt, wipe the debt out, get them money to move, and more importantly, get them, you know, time in the house so they can save up their monthly payments and then be able to start over. Now, in the process, we buy the house, fix it up and sell it and make a lot of money. At the time, I didn't know how much you can actually make. I'll repeat what I said earlier. I make $50,000 to $150,000 profit on houses that are mid-income level St. Louis, houses in the $250,000 price range, okay, by negotiating short sales.
So let me ask you this, David. How do you go about finding these deals? What are you doing to find them? Is it just pulling it off the national or the list that they put out every 21 days in advance? Or where do you find these short sale type deals?
Well, if you want, I can switch over to my little presentation I did in maybe want to, or I can give you a quick 1 second answer. But
yeah, that's fine.
On it. Okay, can we switch over to the slide? How do we do that?
Boom, magic.
There we go. Okay, let me see if I can change pages on it. Okay, I think I'll figure out how to change pages.
And while he's setting that up, everybody, be sure to give this video a like and share it out as he's going to go through this complete presentation here and let you know exactly how he finds deals and how you make money in this business.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite topic.
Yeah, let me, you know, we won't have time. This is an 1.5-hour presentation. I'm only going to use parts of it to answer your question. If anybody wants to get a copy of these slides, they can email me, and I give this free to everybody. This will show you how to start doing short sales. Okay, so Chris, I'm sure that you believe, like I do, that knowledge is something you share with people. When you share knowledge, you learn things from other people. So this entire presentation is 100 slides, and I will send it to you for free. My wife actually videotaped me doing this in a live presentation. I will send you the video if you want to send me an email and stuff, because we won't have time to go through the whole thing. So anyway, you can see my contact information there. But basically, I'm going to show you, basically I'll show you, let's see here, let me page down. So anyway, these are some disclaimers. I'm not an accountant or an attorney and stuff like that. But let me go and show you. So let me just show you some of the houses. We talk about rehabbing. Chris, is it okay if I just show a couple examples of short sales?
Yeah, we like examples. They like real life examples. Let them know it's real, because it's real.
Here we go. I bear it all. Okay, I give you the house address. Anybody with access to public records can go look up 8 Fawn Oaks Drive in O'Fallon. I don't, mess around here. I show you everything. So here's an example of a short sale. Okay, and kind of explains why you do them. So this is one that I did back in 2015. Okay, basically I sold it for $205,000. Okay, I did rehab it. I had 6 offers in 2 days. It was 5 offers over list. It was a 1,300 square foot ranch. I put $71,000 into it. So I'm a pretty big rehabber. I like to make them drop dead gorgeous. So I sold it for $205,000. I put $71,000 into it. Okay. So what do you think I would have paid for that house? Okay.
Probably, let me see, at least 60,000, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I sold it for, 200, I put 70 in it. So I hopefully paid less than, say, 140, right? So it's got to be less than 140, okay, on it. That's your answer. Yes, I paid $33,900 on a short sale for that house. I made a $99,600 profit.
On one house.
On one house, okay? Does that answer why you should do them? Okay.
Look at the spread on it.
Yeah, okay, so let's look at another one real quickly, okay? 163 Citadel Mill Court, Cottersville. There's your zip code. Look it up in public records. Okay, I sold it for $275,000. I put $98,000 into it, okay? So what do you think I paid for that house?
If you sold it for $275,000, you probably got it for around $50,000 at least.
No. Now see, I spoiled you in it. I mean, if you sold it for $275,000 and I put $100,000 in it, I had to pay less than $175,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you have paid for? Less than $175,000.
Probably about $100,000. I mean, that's about average.
$128,000.
Yeah.
So I only made $48,000. Okay. So I'm trying to show you both sides here. I showed you kind of a pretty neat one, and I showed you a pretty bad one. But would you take $48,000 profit? Okay.
Yeah. And what kind of time frames does these take? Do these take 6 months, or these are kind of quick in and out rehabs, or what kind of?
Well, I mean, my business goal, my policy is to do $10,000 worth of work per week. Okay. So $100,000 rehab, I'm probably got it done in about 3 months. If you're doing a $30,000 rehab, you should be on the market in 1 month. Okay.
And so when you sell these deals, are they always going on the MLS, or do you always just have somebody that want to buy it, or how do you exit strategy these deals?
My exit strategy is always the MLS. Look, here's what I believe. Okay, I got a lot of beliefs, and I may get some of your audience mad, and I apologize for that. It's not going to change what I say. It's just going to give you an apology to make you feel better. But the MLS is where you sell. It is not where you buy. I'll repeat, the MLS is where you sell. It is not where you buy houses. And I just got all the realtors all upset, okay? But I sell my houses on the MLS. I don't want to buy them from there, because why do I want to compete against everybody else buying the house, okay? So I sell. So I take these to Drop Dead Gorgeous, and I take them straight to the MLS on it. Here's another house, okay? I sold it for $210,000. I put $72,000 in it, okay? I'll just jump because I want to use up a bunch of time. Okay, I made $51,000 on that house. Okay, on it.
So do you enjoy the rehabbing part of it, or what?
Yeah,
part
I do. No, I love making a house sell in 7 days or less. my philosophy is everybody has to make money on the deal, including the buyer of your home. Okay, and that's why they sell it list or higher. This house here is another short sale. I made $130,000 profit on it. I can go through countless example after example, okay, on here and stuff. So basically, let me go ahead and skip through this. Let me kind of jump down to kind of answer. Gosh, I've got so many. I don't want to go through. I'm trying to get down.
$1 million in real estate. So when you do these houses, are some of them, do you decide to keep them, or all of them you sell them on the MLS?
No, I've wholesaled some of them. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here's one that I wholesaled to another rehabber. Okay. So I had $2,300 holding cost. Okay. You always got a holding cost. People have to keep that in mind. You wholesale it, you're still going to own it for a day or two. You're still going to have title insurance. Okay. And so basically on that house, I made $30,000 wholesaling it. So not $12,000, not $5,000. I made a $30,000 wholesale fee.
So when you wholesale these deals that you get from the bank, or you negotiate a short sale, or you have to double close them, is that correct?
Yes. The bank will not allow you to assign it.
Okay, and so you basically just close on it and then double close, and somebody else come in and they take away that nice house that you just found that you negotiated. So David, if you don't mind, can you get a little bit into the negotiation part? What are you saying to the banks? What are the magic words that you're saying to say, give me this low price deal, beat them up on price where you can get them nice and low, where you can go ahead and take that property down? Yeah,
the negotiation is a lot of fun. So because I'm not going to live in the house, I don't care how long it takes to do the short sale. So many people that do short sales are this here. They pay a negotiator to do it for them, a flat fee. Well, what happens with someone that's doing it for, say, a $3,000 flat fee? Their interest is to get the bank to give you an approval letter. Their interest isn't to buy a house so that you make, a $30,000 wholesale fee profit. And so what will happen is I am willing to dispute what the bank wants for it and dispute it again and again with them. And so basically what happens is one of the key things to doing a short sale is to make sure that the bank, when they come out to do their BPO or their appraisal, see, the bank determines what the price of the house is. Okay. And so they do that by sending someone to the house, and your thing to do is to make sure they come inside the house, and then they see the house, the condition, and they tell the bank what it's worth. And so it's key for that person, that appraiser, to have all the facts about the house, the condition of the house, what needs to be repaired, the deferred maintenance. So if they come back and they tell you that they want to sell it to you for $88,200. Okay, this person, I think, put 30 in it and sold it for 250. Okay, you leave meat on the bone. Okay, when you're a wholesaler, a lot of wholesalers forget to do that. Okay, that this house is worth over 200,000. Okay, but I won't do more than one house a month, so I wholesaled it. And yes, I made $30,000 profit. You might say that's excessive. That's all right. I wholesaled them for $100,000 profit. The buyer didn't care. They made money. Okay, you can do that with short sales. So the key, the magic thing with the bank is to give them the facts and the data and the documents to show them that the house is only worth the price that you want them to have on it.
So you don't even take into consideration at all what they owed on it, their interest rate, adjustable rate, back payments, reinstatement amounts, any of that other stuff. You just go ahead and say, this is the number I want to be at, and you submit the paperwork.
Absolutely. I never ask them what the loan is. As a matter of fact, I've been afraid that I might do a short sale on a free and clear house.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you. I mean, it's really, it's irrelevant. Here's another one. If you want to go to the screen or whatever, made an $80,000 wholesale fee on. Okay. It's irrelevant how much they owe on the house. Okay. It is not important. What is important is what you can convince the bank that it's worth.
In today's marketplace. Which, let me give you an example of one that I'm about to put on the market in the next 2 weeks.
It's in St. Peter's. It's a 1,500 square foot ranch. I will finish the basement is finished. So it's 1,500 square foot ranch. It's on a golf course community. It's not on the golf course. So the ARV after repair value is $260,000. Okay, now I put 80,000 in it. Okay, this house was built in 1970. It had a purple toilet, purple tile. So it's an $80,000 rehab. So I, have to have bought this for less than 180, right? Okay, right. To make money. In today's market, with a lack of inventory, you would think, well, there aren't any short sales, right? That house, I paid $29,600 for that house, and I'm putting it up for sale next 2 weeks, or Christmas. It's next 2 weeks up for sale. $150,000 profit in today's market.
That's crazy. So what is it that's making them take this low price? Is it that you keep making them go back over and over and over again, doing that BPO or broker's price opinion, or is it more so just paperwork is strong?
It's a paperwork process. It's kind of interesting. The short sale process is basically complicated. It's kind of like that Ocean's 11 movie with that Oriental guy dancing to music between the laser beams to get to the jewelry thing there. There's about 300 steps, and you make one wrong move in a short sale and you're dead. It's over. It's shut down. Okay, and you have to start over. And so steps, which is being an engineer, what's helped me in writing procedures and checklists that you follow. I know this bank, this loan, and this type of process, like for example, Freddie Mac requires you to have the home listed for sale for 5 days over the weekend. If you don't turn in your listing agreement and your purchase sale contract with that, dead, killed, axed, back to the fork. Okay, and you got to pull it back and stop it. Process of what they go through, that is, and how what to give them: contractor estimate, comps, pictures, and there's a series of things that do with the bank with it and stuff like that on there.
So they make you submit all that, or does their BPO person go out and get all that?
No. The BPO is just an appraiser. Turns in basically just turns in the price of the home. You're doing everything else. Okay.
Okay, so you need to take pictures and things like that to show them, look, this is bad, and submit this paperwork over to them.
Right. And I switched to a slide here to answer an earlier question. How do you find these? Okay. Now this is applicable to St. Louis area. In every county, you have your own regulations. There were some comments about other states. Does this work in other states? It absolutely does. So real quickly, what the process is that we are stepping into a foreclosure. So you have a judicial state and a non-judicial state. Missouri's non-judicial, which means in Missouri they simply post the legal description for 21 days in the county's legal newspaper. Okay, in a judicial state like VA and NC, North Carolina, they basically do a lis pendens. Which is actually, out there even easier for people to see because it's court documents that are recorded, and it's a much longer process. So in the state of Missouri, because it's judicial, we only have 21 days to stop the foreclosure. You got to be really good at short sales. You take a judicial state like those others that people are asking about, you got months and months and months to get to the homeowner, to get to the bank, to negotiate the short sale. But in all cases, you do it county by county. So as an example here, I've shown a website for the St. Louis area. So if you have any St. Louis viewers, and I'm sure you do, this is the website that you go to that represents the legal posting for that county. And then you can get the foreclosures from here with the name, address, and everything that you need with them. So then you contact them. Okay. And if you want to find out more about how to do it, it's all in my 100 slides. Okay. Here It'll show you how to do them. I don't want to turn this into a big long presentation on how to get them, but basically you are going after the people in foreclosure, and you're trying to save them and stop them. So in St. Charles County, we have over 40 a month. I only want one. I do 5 to 10 a year. There's 40 a month in St. Charles County. In St. Louis County, there's over 260 a month. How many do you need, Chris? How many do you want in a month?
I'll just take about 5 of them. I'm
okay.
good.
There's 255 left in St. Louis. Do we have any other takers out there?
Anybody else want one? We got 10. I'm going to go 12 and a half, now 15. Anybody want to go 20?
Help us out. We got 250 left here. Look, you got to help these families out. There's no reason for these to go to foreclosure, okay?
Yeah. So basically the lack of education on our side as investors, when we get our education level up, we can actually help the bank, help the homeowner, help ourselves, help the community. Everybody's getting help contractors that need work. Really, we solve a lot of problems, and a lot of people don't really notice that.
Absolutely. Yes. You absolutely do. And so what happens is the bank is happy. Okay. And here's why. Many people say, why would the bank accept $33,000 or $29,600 for this house I'm about to put on the market? Their initial offer to me was $190,000. By the time I was done negotiating, they sent me an approval letter telling me that if I wanted the house, I would have to pay $29,600. I gladly accepted that. Okay. Now, why do they do that? Here's loan off the books. That means that they can't lend money out to other people, and it's like a 10 to 15 to 1 ratio. Okay, so if they were owed $100,000, they had to take $1 million off the books and couldn't loan it out to regular people. By taking that off the books and getting $33,000, they could go back out there and loan out 10 times that amount of money, into their system. So that's why even the bank is happy. Now, I'll tell you another little secret with short sales. Now, this only happens in 1 out of 10 deals that I do, 1 out of 10. Okay, but it's very sweet when it happens. What it is when I start that short sale, I'm able to find out basically that the bank will accept anything that I offer. No matter what I offer, they'll accept it.
What?
The prices I showed you, $33,900, is not the lowest I've paid for houses. I paid $18,000, $20,000 for many houses. Okay, and those were ones where basically here's what happened. They in essence committed loan fraud, and when you commit fraud, contractual law says if somebody comes up and hits you in the head, Chris, I can't sue them, but you can sue them. They hit you in the head. Okay, you suffered financial harm, so you're the one that can sue. So the homeowner is sitting there where fraud was committed, but they haven't suffered financial harm unless the bank forecloses. So if the bank forecloses, then the homeowner suffers financial harm. Now they can countersue back and take them for everything. So the bank will not foreclose. So they wait for the homeowner to move to sell the home, right? Okay, normal attrition. Every 7 years, the average age for a loan is 5 to 7. They wait for that to happen. Well, if the house is in disrepair, the home isn't worth what the loan is, and they can't sell it. Catch 22. Do you see that? The homeowner cannot sell the house. So they're waiting for an offer to come in. So I come in and I make an offer of $20,000, and they accept it. Okay.
So wait a minute. Let me make sure I caught that right. The first part, where did the bank go wrong yet again?
They committed loan fraud when they gave the loan to the homeowner, to the borrower, when the loan was given.
They were supposed to give them a loan to begin with.
Yeah, you heard of the phrase pretender lender. Okay, breathe on a mirror and fog it and get a loan. Okay, back in those days. Okay, see, and so that's fraud. Okay, that's why Dodd-Frank came out. Dodd-Frank came out to protect consumers from getting loans that they should have never had. Okay, the banks did a lot to cause the whole problem with short sales by giving loans to people that weren't qualified, and then overinflating the value of the loan and the price of the house to do it. So they committed fraud. It's not the homeowner's fault. Okay,
These greedy bankers.
Yeah, exactly right. There's no doubt about it. Okay, on it. And so what happened is there are egregious examples of that to the degree of loan fraud, and that's why now it's only 1 out of 10 that I do, but it's really sweet when it happens when I do those.
So how do you identify a deal, say, because I'm working on a couple of them right now, where a lady, I think there's some type of fraud because there was a fire in her house, and some kind of way in between the time that happened, the bank was transferring it over to another bank, and basically they said she had no insurance, and so her house is just, she can't live in it. It's got fire damage, and it needs to be a short sale. And it seems like they did some tricky stuff. It seems illegal, just from the information that I've gathered so far. What are some ways you would identify a potential loan fraud with the bank?
Well, I mean, there's certain forensic things that can happen. In this case, what it sounds like it happened, it was simply transferring the loan. The kind that I'm talking about is the original issuer of the loan when she first got it. So the application process, that's where the loan fraud, took place. In your particular case, we can talk about this offline. You can call me later about it, but just real quickly on what that's taking place is, there is the original first time lender that sold it to the second party. Okay, there's a 20-day window where the homeowner gets notified that that's taking place. But in all cases, that original lender, is still responsible, for making those payments. Now, if this was where she was doing the insurance and the taxes herself, we'd have to talk about that. But legally, if she was under escrow, okay, then the bank is responsible, for making those payments, even if they don't have the escrow funds to pay it out. So even if she wasn't making her payments, they're still responsible for it. If she was originally under the first lender, where her monthly payment was, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Okay.
Yeah, because from what she told me is they cut it off after they found out the fire happened or something tricky, like they just didn't want to pay. It was nothing on her fault. It was the bank selling her loan to somebody else or transferring it, and in that process, that's when that fire happened. And they didn't want to pay it out. The new bank didn't want to pay it. The old bank say, I don't own it no more. I don't know what you're talking about. So everybody try to pass the buck.
Yeah. So what? Well, we can talk more offline on it. But the first lender was still legally responsible for that, and the second lender bought the loan as it existed, which meant the second lender was responsible for the fire insurance. So we'd have to talk about your dates of when the fire occurred versus the ownership. But watch out for the 20-day window. So we can talk about more offline or something tomorrow on that specific, and look at some paperwork if you want.
Yeah. So that was just something that came in my mind when you started saying it, because I'm like, that sounded fraudulent, just how they, tricky stuff. I'm always looking for a loophole, because there's always legal loopholes. And for the people that are watching here live, if you do have any questions about any of this stuff we're talking about, drop it in the comments. We'll have a Q&A before we get off of here shortly here. So David, what is the quickest you've seen that you can stop a foreclosure from happening, and what are some ways that you can actually stop one?
So I have done it the day before the foreclosure. Okay. Now, normally your general rule would be we're not going to try to stop it if it's within 10 days, okay, of the foreclosure date, just because you have to get an authorization form. You have to get into the bank. You've got to do a lot of, process type paperwork through their system. So, for your lifestyle as the investor, you want to generally use the rule of 10 days. Now, I will say that the current trend today has changed such that we have so many FHA loans, and FHA has a 30-day policy. And so unless you know some tricks, what will happen is if you're within 30 days, FHA won't stop the foreclosure. So you need to do this 45 days out. Now, this is really tough in like the state of Georgia and the state of Missouri, where we're a 21-day foreclosure state. You're 9 days too late, okay, by the time you even know that there's a foreclosure to do something with. So you have to have some special tricks to be able to stop it. And I kind of do go through some of that in some of my short sale presentation stuff. But basically, there's quickly, two ways. I'll just say them quickly without going into how to execute it. But, two ways. One is you can suggest that the seller, the homeowner, you suggest that they consider filing bankruptcy. Notice my words, suggest and consider. See, we are not attorneys. We're not accountants, okay? And so we are just layman people. And so we have to be careful in what we tell people to do. They have to understand where you're coming from. So, you suggest to the homeowner that they consider filing bankruptcy. That can be done 10 minutes before the foreclosure date. And a bankruptcy stops the foreclosure clock. It eliminates it. It goes away. Now you have more than 30 days, right? There's no foreclosure date. So now FHA can do a short sale. Okay, so there's a neat little trick on how to do it. The other way is, and there's a process to how to do that. I'm just giving you a quick, little tip or trick on it. The second way is if you have some contacts with FHA, you go around the bank and you go straight to FHA. But you have to have the contacts there at the FHA to do it.
Right, that makes sense. Because I know I hear about the one about going to suggesting that they go file foreclosure. Not foreclosure, file bankruptcy. I told them I've heard people be able to stop their sale by filing bankruptcy. I never suggest them to do anything, just like you.
Very good. Yeah, I heard that can happen. Exactly.
That can stop it legally. That will, from what I hear, that can stop a sale from actually happening.
Yes.
Yep. Hey, DJ Diane Johnson says, "Hey, David." So we have a question here. Does that apply to those who do a lease option with the subject to properties acquired? Can we be sued for loan fraud?
Okay, so may have to ask more questions. Does that apply to those who do a lease option? So you have to figure out who the parties are involved in this. Okay, so a lease option, a lease option basically is where you can either be the owner of the home or you could be the buyer. So a lease option is where you have a house that someone is renting, and they're going to actually buy the house in 1 year or 2 years from now when their credit gets better. Okay, so by a tenant buyer. So thank you for that. So we have a tenant buyer who is living in a house, paying rent until his credit score gets better, and he has a separate document called a option to purchase. Okay, on it. And so unfortunately, the option to purchase is not recorded, and the original lender is still in a first position, so they can foreclose on that. So unfortunately, the tenant buyer is out, and it's actually a very big danger a tenant buyer should always watch out for when they go into that arrangement, especially when they give an option fee, because that's a non-refundable option fee. So sometimes if you go 20% option fee, it gives you equitable interest in the house, and you could file to stop the foreclosure because you have equitable interest. But otherwise, a renter and a lease option does not have the equitable interest to stop the foreclosure.
So basically, it looks like she's asking, can that tenant buyer, you placed the tenant buyer in a house that you bought subject to, can you be sued for loan fraud?
No, if you're the owner, the investor who sold the home to the tenant buyer, no. You can't be, because you didn't give a loan yet to the seller,
right?
To that tenant buyer, you haven't given him anything to have committed loan fraud.
Because we don't have a loan. That's why I love.
Correct. Yeah, we will never give a loan. Dodd-Frank is going to prevent that for the most part. You might get away with 3 houses that you can do that, but be very careful in doing what's called contract for deed. Okay. Mm-hmm. A lease option is nothing to do with you. That's the bank is going to come in and give them a loan in 1 or 2 years. But there's the next step up called contract for deed or owner financing. Be very careful in doing that, because Dodd-Frank makes you look at their debt to income ratios. Okay, so you want to be very careful in doing owner financing when you sell your home as a rehabber on owner financing. Yeah,
my biggest go-to exit strategy is the lease option. I love the lease option. I want to get that non-refundable option consideration. Take that money, go ahead and take your house and have a nice life. Treat me like Bank of America. Make sure my payments come in. Don't call me about plumbing.
Yeah, and here, yeah, exactly. And here's why I like it from my perspective. You saw some of my profit numbers. Taxes really sucks. Can we say this on your show?
Yeah. Say what you got to say.
Taxes suck, okay? And so a lease option, I call it my year and a day program, my year and a day. I want to get a buyer who will lease this for 1 year and 1 day, and then get the loan on the, that 366 a day, because now I can do capital gains taxes and not pay income taxes on it. So now I'm looking at 0% capital gains rate, or at worst 20% capital gains rate. Versus right now, I'm making, 50 to 150,000 a house, and I'm doing 5 to 10 a year. My taxes are at the 39.6 bracket. I hate that. So if I can do a lease option, then it converts to capital gains.
Right. So that's a legal loophole right there. You definitely want to know that type of stuff to avoid taxes, because that's the largest expense. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. What's going on, Josh? Let's see here. I'm in a short sale now as my first deal. Well, good luck, Irvin. All right, say it. And his first deal. All right, Chris Burst, Washington, D.C. here. I met a lady yesterday who is using her self-directed IRA to fund wholesalers. She allows him to use $1,000 from her IRA as the EMD with a $1,000 return on each deal. A win-win for both. Look at these people getting creative out here.
Yeah, great. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Tax free. I never heard of that. These people just come up with all type of schemes. I mean, I shouldn't call them schemes, but stuff.
Well, hey, look, I've got a really good one for you that I've been doing lately. Okay, it's similar. So this person's going to want to do this. Okay, so here's what you do. It's called a wrap loan. Okay, a wrap loan. And here's what I've been doing. I take $5,000 of my own money. Okay. You can do this in your own cash or in your IRA. You take $5,000 of your own money and you go out and you get a private lender. Okay, you're familiar with private lenders. You had a guest on last week about that with private lenders. So you find some rich fat cat friend who's getting 0.2% interest in his checking account, and he's going to lend it to you for 5% or 7%. I do it all the time. Okay, I borrow money on all my houses. I've got lots of cash, but I still borrow money on all my houses because I want my cash ready to go in an emergency, in a moment's notice. So here's what you do with the wrap loan that this person will like. Take $5,000 of your own money, get a private lender who has, say, $100,000 or $200,000, and you go out and you loan that to a rehabber. But you wrap the loan, and so you lend to that rehabber at, say, 5 points and 15%, and you're paying your underlying private lender 5%. Okay, so you're collecting the spread between the two. Okay, so you're paying your private lender 5% and you're making 5 points and 15%. But you put in $5,000, but you lent the rehabber $105,000 to do his house.
Right. Wow. See, it's all kind of legal loopholes and stuff to make money in this game. So that's why that education is so important, family. Make sure you're learning this stuff. I know it takes a little bit of time and everybody want to jump in and just do stuff, but take a little bit of time, at least learn the basics and add on to it. That's why I try to bring guests on like David here, just talking about these different topics that you need to know about. So let's see what else. I think we got a couple other comments on here. They say, preach it, David. Look at them.
Yeah, I love real estate. Yeah.
Right. All right. So Daniel has a question here. Should we have a main real estate agent or give it to as many as we can give it to? I guess when you're selling these houses, like you were talking about earlier, should we have multiple that go list these properties for us, or just one exclusive agent that we work for to get all of our deals?
Now, are you talking about when you're selling your rehabbed houses, or are you talking about buying houses?
Selling them.
Okay. So well, I'll just tell you what I do. Okay, on it. And so I buy houses and I fix them up and sell them. I said I'm an engineer. I said I have checklists and written procedures. I follow a game plan and I improve it every little bit, and I keep getting better and better every year. So here's what I do. Okay, all my houses have sold in 7 days or less at list price or higher. So I have a real estate agent that I pay a flat fee to. Okay, so I pay a $5,000 or $1,000 flat fee, and they put it on the MLS, and then I do all the work. Okay, so they don't take any phone calls, they don't do any open houses, but they put it on that very crucial, very important MLS system. Okay. Now I have written procedures on how to sell my houses in 7 days. So I have an hourly, I'll repeat, an hourly real estate agent. I have a real estate agent who is working for me, paid hourly to execute my written procedures and my checklist. Okay. I don't pay a commission of like, of 7% to a realtor to sell something that I have a procedure and I feel that I can sell them better than the majority of the real estate agents out there. So basically I recommend that, investors work with one real estate agent to sell their houses, build a relationship, okay, and work with them and build a system. Realtors are very, very important on your team, okay? They are crucial. So for example, when I sell my house, the buyer has an agent. When the agent comes in with a buyer, I pay them 3% commission, not the standard 2.7%, okay? So, the standard commission, you split it in half. If it's, 6%, it's, 2.7 and 3.3. So the buyer's agent, I pay them 3% and $1,000 bonus. Okay. That's how important real estate agents are to me. They bring in buyers to my houses. Okay.
So they don't do anything as far as, so you said they only work hourly. So what if it's on the MLS and somebody wants to see the house? Do you go show it or do you send them a lockbox code? How do you show the house?
The buyer has their own agent.
Okay.
Okay.
So
and that's why I pay that agent 3% and $1,000.
So what happens if somebody was to come in unrepresented by an agent?
I would sell them the house personally.
So without so no commissions. Okay, perfect.
No commission, and so I would make 3% more.
Dang. So you say you ain't got an agent? Good. I get to keep extra money in hip pocket National Bank.
Yeah.
All right. So Irvin has a question here. Can you put it into a land trust, David?
Oh, I love that. Thank you for asking about land trust. I do all of my short sales in the past 2 to 3 years in a land trust, and nobody else hardly can do that. It was thought to be not possible, but I developed a series of documents that you give to the bank, and I can I can buy a short sale in a land trust. Land trusts are crucial. You must learn what a land trust is, okay? You need to understand those because a land trust actually allows you to get around some of the rules that a short sale bank has. Remember I said that the bank will not let you wholesale a house. They won't let you assign it, so to speak. Okay, well, here's what you can do. There's also something called a deed restriction. So in a short sale, a bank will put a 30-day deed restriction. It will say that you cannot sell the house for any price at all for 30 days. Now, is that un-American or what? Okay.
Yeah.
If your dog gets run over by a car and you need to take it to the vet and you need money, okay, or you need to go to the hospital and you need to sell your house to pay your bills, you can't. You can't
Right.
for 30 days. And it's worse. Then for 90 days, they have a deed restriction that says you cannot sell it for more than 20% than what you paid for it. Okay. That means if you paid $100,000 for it and you put 50 in it, okay, you can't sell it for more than $120,000. It's irrelevant what you put into it to fix it up. For 90 days, you cannot sell it for more than $120,000. Okay, all that to be said so that you understand those rules, all that to get to the land trust. Land trust, as Chris, you know what a land trust is, don't you?
All of my properties are held in trust. I have no property in my name.
Yes. All right. Exactly. So I do it too. Now, so what happens in a land trust, you have a trustee, and the trustee is what's on public records. And so what you do with a short sale is you sell the beneficial interest, and on public records, everything stays there for the 90 days.
That's right. It never changes. You just transfer the beneficial interest.
Wholesale the beneficial interest, and you're within compliance of the short sale documents.
Gotta love those trusts. Thanks for dropping those gems there, David. All right, so Ty has a question here in regards to what do you suggest when the banks ask the buyer for a POF or proof of funds in their account? I have run into this a couple of times and have lost deals.
Wow. Okay. In my hard money lending, I give everybody a free proof of funds letter. Just send me an email and I'll give you one. That's what they're worth. The paper, well, they're not even worth the paper they're written on. Okay. I mean, a proof of funds isn't worth the paper it's written on. Okay. So
Right.
there are different kinds of proof of funds. And so there is the kind that's a bank statement. Okay. And in that bank statement, you want to cross out the account number so they don't see it. Okay. And so that's one type of proof of fund you can submit. The other is a simple letter that comes from some institution that says, here's the address of the house and that they have this much money available, for the purchase, and it's signed by somebody at the bottom. That's a proof of funds letter. They're a dime a dozen. Send me an email and I'll send you one. Okay. Send the address, send the entity and the amount, of course. Okay. And I'll send you one back, and that's all you need. You should never lose a deal because of this.
Yeah, never should lose a deal just because of that. I mean, there's websites online that give you proof of funds.
Yeah. They're.
I'm not suggesting anybody use them, but I'm just letting you know they're out there. Google it.
Oh no, I mean,
So,
and maybe I'll fund the deal. So that's fine.
And so, yeah, somebody did ask that, but I don't know where the question went on here. They asked, are you only operating in the St. Louis area, or will you lend or work deals in other parts of the United States?
Oh yeah, I lend to other parts of the United States. Maybe certain states we have to look at. We'll have to change my documents to fit that state and everything. So I will certainly. I mean, they can send me an email and ask me for my lending document. It's a 6-page lending document. There's a lot more to it than what I said. And it, there's, I lend you all the money, but that's like 1/4 of what I do. I basically help you through the critical path in it. Now, for St. Louis investors, okay, this won't apply to in other states, but I also give you all of my contractors, all of my material suppliers, and all of my SKU numbers for my houses. Okay. So you can make your house look like my house. Okay. On it and stuff. So, and there's a lot more to my lending than that, but I do lend to other states, but obviously my contractors aren't going to go to your state, to help you. So
I guess a better question is there any state or area that you do not participate in, that you don't like? Like, I don't mess with Illinois for anything.
I was going to say Illinois. On it. But I'll tell you what, though, if I have a relationship with you, there's a way around that in Illinois. Okay. There's a way around. See, Illinois is a terrible judicial state. Okay. And so no lender in their right mind wants to be a bank in Illinois. Okay. Because if something goes wrong, it'll cost you 18 months and $10,000 just to get your house back. And that's crazy. So there's ways around doing that. But yeah, Illinois is not worth our time to lend on that.
Yeah, and they changed the law over there recently about you can't even wholesale in Illinois more than one deal per year without a real estate license. How you love that?
Yeah, I know. That's terrible. It's un-American. Un-American.
All right. Hello. Ashley Campbell says, I remember watching videos telling real estate investors that wholesale to stay clear of short sales because banks want you to hold on to them for a period of time. Is that still accurate?
Yes, that is still accurate. So first of all, they have to approve the buyer. So therefore, you have to close in the buyer's name. So there's no assigning a contract before you do the short sale, before you close on it. So you must close in the entity that you submitted to the bank. So that forces you into closing. So now, now basically you have a point where you can then wholesale it the next day, unless there's a deed restriction. Okay. So no, the 30-day rule is gone, but only, so FHA has no restriction. You buy it, you close on it, you can sell it the same day or the next day. Okay. If it has a deed restriction, which is Fannie Mae and just certain investors, but it's probably 40% of the market involved. Yeah. So generally, no, you can wholesale it the same day or the next day.
Yeah, because I was just ready to ask you that. How do you know if there's a deed restriction? Do you only find that out at closing, or do you know that before you close on it? Is that something you do during your due diligence process? How do you know?
Yeah, you do it in the due diligence process. So, in that presentation I have that people can get. I actually give you the one crucial document you need to be able to do short sales. Okay, when you have this one document, then you take over the whole thing and you deal directly with the bank. And because of that, then you've got the ability then to talk to the bank about their criteria for the short sale in the process, how much the seller is going to get in incentive. Okay, do they have to have it listed before the purchase sale contract is written? How much money do they get back? Is there a holding period on it? And so you can find that information out when you have this one crucial document that that I will send you. I'll send it to you.
So you gotta find out.
I'll send you that document. You can use it in all 50 states.
That makes sense. So you have to know what's going on before you just jump in a deal. So you do all this gathering of information before you just jump into a deal. For those watching, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and share it out if you haven't already. For those watching in the Woke Real Estate Investors group, there's an actual link in the description that you need to click, and it'll show your name. Because like this person here who has a question, great idea. I do something almost the same. What I do is pay the listing agent 1% and the selling agent's 2%, yet the listing agent can still make 3% if they sell it. However, I always pay the 1%, whether I sell it with the selling agent or not. Yes, a lot of percents in there, but basically we get the gist. You're doing some creative listings.
Yeah. Well, look, what I do though is I pay my realtor a flat fee because I do all the work and they just simply do a listing. And then I flashed back up my contact info. Like I said, I want people to do stuff. I have learned so much because people shared stuff with me that I want to share, what I know with people on it. And so, short sales, nobody's doing them out there. And there's a tremendous profit in today's market. And you can help the homeowner out. They can start their life over. There's still lots of them out there, and there's still families in trouble and stuff. And so, if I can help anybody, get started, email me or text me, and I'll send you the 1.5-hour video and the slides. And note that I don't charge anything for it. I did it, publicly.
There you go. Because these people need our help. There's no reason to have all these houses going back to the banks, because then they stay empty for up to a year, 2 years sometime, just to get it back up on the market again. That's crazy.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, I'm dealing with a house like that right now that's in perfect condition out in Maryland Heights. I just need to get them under contract. Owes $265 on it. The house worth about $300, so there's not a lot of equity in it, but nothing wrong with it. Just behind on payments, and he don't live here. Let me get that house, man.
Yeah. So you said there's not much equity in it. So if you flip over to doing the short sale, you can probably get $100,000 equity out of it.
So what if the seller doesn't want to comply with that? They just want to sell it. They don't want to go through a short sale process.
Well, the seller is usually getting a letter that says they're going to be kicked out of their home. And then there's a deficiency. So most of the states in the United States, if it goes to foreclosure, in the state of Missouri, for example, if it goes to foreclosure, the seller still owes all the money. And get this, they have 7 years to come get it from you. And maybe they won't come get it right now because you don't have a job. But if they find out where you work 3 years from now, they can garnish your paycheck and you can't do anything about it because you gave up your right on the foreclosure date. So many people stick their head in the sand, sellers, stick their head in the sand and go, well, just take my home. No, that's the worst thing that could happen because you still owe the money. There's a deficiency. Okay. You lose the home and you owe the money. Okay. That's
crazy. I never thought about that. I heard about that, but I didn't realize that's how that exactly worked.
Yeah,
so they still owe that money. Dang.
Yeah. When you know some of those facts, it's super easy for the seller to be very convinced to do the short sale with you. The only hard one is say they've already moved out and they want to get rid of the house fast. That's the hardest one because it's not going to be fast. It's going to take 3 months. It's going to take 6 months. But still, that's better than foreclosure on it. If they're living in the house, there's an even better reason. Instead of having to get out in the next 21 days, then they can get out in 3 months, 6 months. I took 2 of them for 12 months because their kid was a senior in high school and they wanted to graduate. And so I dragged my feet. I was in no hurry.
Dang, you got to work these deals, whatever you got to do to make them work. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to know if you live in Virginia.
I have not before. We'd have to take a look at it. If you send an email, I'll send you my lending document, and it tells you what you need to submit, for us to look at a house.
Yep. So there you go. There's the information right there. Just send them that email to right there, David Randolph at realtyrenovator.com, and that'll get you these slides as well. So let's see. We got a few more minutes. We're an hour in here, David. I don't want to keep you out too long. Let's see here. With David, they want to know, would you lend on any subject to deals?
No, because that would put me in second position.
Oh, you got to be first.
Yes. So now what we do, though, for rehabbers, here's what's happened. A hard money lender has given them the shaft, and they're trying to take the house back because they basically, there's lots of reasons why they do that. And so what happens is we can come in and pay off the hard money lender, put me in first position, and then give you all the money you need to actually finish the house.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Illinois law is a joke when it comes to wholesaling. That's true. They say New York State is worse. Wow, they talking bad. And so those people, like I said, that's watching in the Woke Real Estate Investors Group, that's why your name is showing up as a Facebook user. You need to give permission to them to use your name. It's a link in the description because it's a private Facebook group. That's why your name isn't showing up. If you click that link one time, we'll be in ready to go. All right, let's see here. Ty Harris says, have you ever got a short sale approved after the bank said they would do it for less than a certain amount? I have a lead where the bank said it won't take less than 300K because of the area. It's a great area.
Well, I mean, and first, the appraiser gives that value to the bank. The bank sends you a letter and says they want X for the house. Either accept it or we're going to foreclosure. And you say basically that you'll accept it. And then they send you an approval letter that you have 30 days to close with everything in writing. Okay. If you don't accept it, then you got to move very quickly and send some documentation to say why that appraised value is wrong. So you need to ultimately get an approval letter from them showing what it is. If you don't have the approval letter, then you need to be submitting this. You need to dispute the $300,000 price that they say it is, and get them to lower that before they put it back into the foreclosure status.
Good answer. Good answer. And so let me ask you this, David. So if you're working on a deal, is it possible that you could be competing with other investors, or they just deal with one investor that's submitting short sale packets and all this information, or is it competitive?
Oh, this is so beautiful about short sales. You know how we do direct mail marketing? You know how I said the MLS is where you sell, not where you buy, because you don't want to compete. And even wholesalers, they do direct mail marketing, and you're bidding against other, or you got another offer from someone else coming in on it, and you might not buy it even on direct mail. There is no other buyers competing. It's you and you alone, and you pick your own price, and it gets better than that. Okay, if you do in direct mail and even no one else mailed to him, you're the only one that mailed to the seller, and he has to sell his house. Guess what you have to do? You have to negotiate with the seller. What does he want for the house, right?
Right.
Okay, well, get this. The seller doesn't care what I pay for the house. The seller doesn't care what I pay for the house because it's underwater. He's not getting any money. It's not his price tag. It's the bank's price tag. Is that beautiful? This is why crazy. Everybody should be doing short sales. There's no competition from anybody. Nobody can put another offer in. It's impossible for anybody else to put another offer in on the house. Impossible. Okay. The bank will only look at one contract at a time.
Wow. So you basically can lock it up for 6 months to a year dealing with the bank, and nobody can come in and say, oh, I'm going to swoop in and steal the deal. Or I heard they're going through foreclosure. I'm going to go do something. You can't do nothing. You're just done.
Absolutely, Chris. And that's going to throw a lot of people, and it's going to probably have a lot of questions, and they can email me their questions. They can burn me on it and say, oh, but what about this and what about that? And I will answer every question from an investor, entrepreneurial perspective, not a realtor perspective. Okay, these are not homes listed by realtors on the MLS. This is not where you find them. You find them with the homeowner, and then you work with the bank. Okay.
That makes sense. That makes sense, David. So, I mean, you're dropping massive jewels massive value tonight. We're about an hour and 10 minutes in. Don't want to keep you out too long. Is there anything else you want to say that you want to leave the family with here before we let you go?
Well, no, Chris, I just wanted to thank you for your service to this country, Chris. Your service to this real estate industry. I've looked at your other podcast, radio show things, or whatever this internet stuff is. And you are bringing some good information out to people. So I want to thank you, Chris. I'm honored that you had me on this. I love to teach people. Started teaching short sales now to people, since I did this presentation here, these slides that I did in July. And so if anybody wants they got a short sale they're working on, email me a question about, hey, it's this bank and it's this lender and it looks like this, and I'll shoot you back a paragraph about how you might want to approach it. I love helping people out. I'm not going to do your short sale for you, but I'll say, hey, this is what you got to do. This is what they're looking for, and kind of it's like.
That's right. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You ain't gonna help him drink.
Yeah. So Chris, I do thank you for having me on the show.
Much appreciated. And there's his contact information, everybody. His email address, phone number, all of that information, contact right there. Send that email over if you want to get this 100+ slides that breaks down all of this stuff about short sales, how to do them, and all this other information. Other than that, let's see here. I'm going to take that down now. Oh, put me off. Take that off. All right, David, any closing remarks? Are you good to go?
I'm good to go, Chris.
All right. Thank you. You have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
All right. That'll work. TheDavidRandolph.com. That's how we do it, family. Each and every Monday night coming up right here in the month of December, we're going to have somebody on talking this real estate talk. Make sure if you're watching right now, give this video a thumbs up. Share it out if you care it out. Give it a like. Give it a thumbs up and all that good stuff. Let me see here. I see it's a couple of more comments in here. Let me make sure nothing else good here. What does David think about something? A short sale kid. Do we still have a course from 2004? I still have his course from 2004. Oh, wow. Look at that. Know somebody. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. Does he teach short sale? Yes. Send an email to that contact information I just had up on the screen there. Thank you, DJ. Thank you for the jewels. Thank you, everybody. And like I said, so next week, I'm going to be on here with Loopy G out of Texas. He just started wholesaling recently, and he's on fire down there in Texas doing multiple deals in multiple locations. We're going to have him on next Monday night, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. The following week, the 23rd, the week of Christmas, Xmas, your favorite day, we're going to have Danielle on. She closed her first wholesale deal, had a $34,000 spread on it, and all the people involved got to eat. Locked it up for $50,000, sold the deal for $84,000, made a $34,000 spread on a wholesale deal up in the state of Virginia. People talking about that here. We're going to have her on December 23rd, 7 o'clock Central Time. Other than that, I want to thank everybody that's joined in. I'm about to get up out of here and doing some more woke stuff. So do what you do. Be who you be. And I'll see you before you see me. Peace out, family.
And we have. And we have. And we have.